Hi, my name's Gabriel. I'm a filmmaker and hip-hop artist from just across the lake over in Toronto. And I think it's frankly insane that someone like myself needs to be making this video to remind professional journalists to please do your jobs. But alas, in an effort to show major network news channels just how it's done, earlier today I sat down with the most talked about man in the world for this exclusive interview. Greetings to everyone tuning in from around the country. If you're just joining us, I'm here with reality TV star, prominent conspiracy theorist, international steak and real estate salesman. He's been endorsed by the KKK, the American Nazi Party, North Korea's fascist and violently anti-American dictatorship, and most recently, the Republican Party as their candidate for president of the United States. Donald Trump, thanks for being with us.
I'm really rich. I'll show you that in a second.
Congratulations. Now, Mr. Trump, you're someone who many people say they like because you, quote,
tells it like it is.
But since your campaign began, fact checkers have gone over your claims and found that a whopping 92% of the statements you made have been either half-truths, mostly false, completely false, or what PolitiFact.com classifies as pants on fire lying.
Trump, 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 stand by!
In light of these statistics, how do you explain your amazing success thus far on the campaign trail?
I love the poorly educated.
Sorry, what was that?
We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
Well, that was a shockingly honest answer. Great start to this interview. Next, I'd like to ask you about what is perhaps the most wide-reaching and elaborate conspiracy that you espouse. On November 6th of 2012, you said, quote, "The concept of global warming was created by and for the Chinese in order to make US manufacturing non-competitive." Now, you later claimed that that statement was a joke. And while I'll admit, much of what you say and do does seem like a complete joke, in light of the dozens of other nearly identical statements you've made on the subject, alleging some sort of massive global conspiracy amongst all the world's scientists, none of which you've retracted, and the fact that you only tried to pass off that particular statement as a joke after you started running for president, we're gonna presume that you meant what you said at the time. Now, you've claimed to have,
quote, the world's greatest memory.
So take us back to that tweet. Tell us what was going on in that brilliant mind of yours when you first wrote that.
China, 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 China.
Right. Okay, but when you speak of the Chinese, is this a conspiracy of all 1.3 billion people in China? Did the whole country get together one stormy evening to hatch such a plot? Is it Chinese businesses? Is it the government? Can you please elaborate as to who you hypothesize is behind this so-called hoax?
I just sold an apartment for $15 million to somebody from China.
Right. But I just want to get to the bottom of this, as you know that's what real journalists are supposed to do. And with major American cities like Miami, New York, New Orleans, Virginia Beach, and 44 other coastal cities destined to be largely underwater this century if present trends continue, California running out of water right now, crop failures, increased drought, and wildfires spreading across the continent, water shortages in the Middle East helping to spark the refugee crisis, and Syrian civil war that has allowed ISIS to thrive, surely you owe the American people a serious answer here.
Rosie O'Donnell's disgusting. I mean, both inside and out. You take a look at her, she's a slob. She talks like a truck driver. We're all a little chubby, but Rosie's just worse than most of us. But it's not the chubbiness. Rosie is a very unattractive person, both inside and out.
Okay. I'm not quite sure what your celebrity gossip has to do with the question. Now, I know you've written for the National Enquirer in the past, but if you as a contributor to and believer in the National Enquirer are gonna go up against NASA, when we're talking about the planet's atmosphere, and by the way, it's not just NASA, it's thousands of peer-reviewed studies, 99.9% of the world's climatologists, pictorial evidence of glaciers, satellite evidence of ice every thermometer at every satellite station coastal markers, 1800s, measuring the ocean's rise. Surely in the face of all of this evidence, you must have some massive new data or discovery to contradict the world's entire scientific community.
I don't think Ivanka would do that inside the magazine, although she does have a very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know.
Wow, that is f***ed up and wrong and weird and not at all related to what I just asked you. So there you have it, folks. Zero new evidence or even complete sentences coming from the Republican presidential candidate on the most important issue facing planet Earth in the last 65 million years. Apparently the Emperor is not only wearing no clothes, he's also some sort of bizarre troll who contemplates incest with his own daughter. Moving on, let's go to the next major conspiracy theory that you've espoused. You began your campaign on June 16th by claiming that Mexico was, quote, not sending us their best. They're sending drug dealers, criminals, and rapists. And you've gone the last 11 months without facing a single question from the media to verify those claims. Except by Don Lemon at CNN, to whom you said, somebody's doing the raping, Don. Who's doing the raping? To which Don Lemon said, and then dropped the subject. So I'd just like to ask you now, definitively, do you have any evidence of such a conspiracy within the Mexican government? How did you come about this evidence? And can you please finally share that proof with the American people and the world that is now so closely watching?
Part of the beauty of me is that I'm very rich.
Yeah, okay. We got that already.
Mexico is not our friend. Mexico is the new China. Mexico will pay, you mark my words. I win, Mexico pays.
Well, it's great that we've been quoting you on that and gave you wall-to-wall coverage that helped you win the nomination to become the most powerful person on Earth without so much as asking you to verify your batshit crazy conspiracies a single time. Okay, moving on now to our final topic, women. What's that? Oh, we're just getting word that Marco Rubio, the city of Miami, and 1/3 of the battleground state of Florida has just been swallowed up by the rising ocean. More on that later and how it might affect Decision 2016. You can catch that and all of the day's headlines at 9 p.m. Eastern Time after our special coverage of the hunting trips Mr. Trump finances for his 2 kids to shoot Cecil the lions and Harambe the gorilla's endangered species friends in Africa.
Mr. Trump, you're not a nice person.
For real. Oh, now you tell the truth. All right, let's get back to the topic at hand. On the subject of women, you've said about that half of the human race, and I quote, you have to treat them like shit. As president, how will you execute this policy of treating women like shit? Will you just verbally abuse them the way you've done to numerous female celebrities? Did you have something more Taliban-like in mind? And do you think you'll run into opposition from the 50% of America that is in fact female, as well as any self-respecting male citizens? What's that? Don't ask him any more tough questions, or he may not come back to our network. And then our ratings will sink. And then our advertising revenue will sink. And then I'll lose my job. But what about the American people? Isn't it our job to report the truth? I mean, this man openly talks about attacking freedom of the press, freedom of religion. That's the First Amendment. Hello? Mr. Trump, no one cares about the size of your genitals. We're sick of your bullshit. Just shut the fuck up. Hello? Hello? Well, apparently this interview is over. That's it for today from Guy's Eye News. America, back to you.